Welcome to this mono black sacrifice deck tech. So this deck is designed to play at a local game store with a budget going from 300 to 500 euros or dollars. So now more or less it's the same. And this budget is interesting because it allows you to go deep into a strategy, so without losing too much of the focus of the deck, but also without being too much overpowered. So, describing the commander, we have Tevesh and Keskit, I don't know. So Tevesh creates rules, and then you can sacrifice a creature to draw cards, or a planeswalker to draw cards, and with -10 you gain control of all the commanders, which is pretty crazy, never happened to be, but you never know. Keskit instead sacrifice a creature and draw 2 cards. No, sacrifice 3 artifacts or creatures and draw 2 cards. So basically, the strategy of the deck is going to be create a lot of tokens, a lot of creatures, sacrifice them to get advantage. So, without further ado, let's go into the value engine of the deck. So we got token generation and exploitation, say value engines. So for generating tokens, we have pretty much the usual cards. Yeah, these are recurrent creatures, these are token generators. I think these are pretty much the standard ones. So Bitter Blossom now came down in price, so it could be a very interesting addition. This is a cheaper version which creates 1 zombie at the upkeep, and then the zombie grows, so it doesn't really create new tokens each turn, but still it's more or less the same. Then we have the classic Geomancer, Wu Strider, the Master Breeder that creates Thralls as well, Zombies with Decay. I think the only exotic choice here is this Hunted Horror, I think it's the English name, and it creates 2 green centaur creatures with protection from black at the control of another player. So this is a politicking card. You can use it to corrupt a player, to, you know, try to move the balance of the table. I think this is quite interesting and fun to play. Again, this is a deck for LGS, so local game store, not super competitive, so we can, you know, fuck around a little bit. And then we have some recursive creatures. If this one dies, goes to a graveyard, pay 1 life, get it back. Or if this one dies, goes to a graveyard, you can pay 3 and have it back. So once we have all these ways to create creatures, then we need ways to exploit and sacrifice all these creatures. And we have some of the classic ones like the Blood Artist, Viscera Seer, some variation of the aristocratic theme. Then we have this card that allows you to draw a lot of cards, super interesting. Aristocrat Strategy. I think one that pops out is Ayara, because if your playgroup doesn't allow partner commanders, you can use Ayara as your commander, as she has the sacrifice another black creature, draw a card, so she's a value engine, and she also has the aristocrat strategy of sacrificing for draining life. Then let's go into, I don't know, the removal package. So we have mass removals and then some spot removals. I think the worthy mention here are, well, Feed the Swarm, because it can target enchantments. Then we have Soul Transfer, which can exile creatures or planeswalkers. And if you control an artifact and an enchantment, then you can also get a creature back from your graveyard. So you invested 0 cards from your hand to remove 1 piece. I think this is interesting. Then we have Dismember, Terror, and then each opponent sacrifices a creature type of cards, which are strong because, again, you have to target all of them. You don't really only do point removal. And then, of course, we have some mass removal like Toxic Deluge, the classic one, Decree of Pain. This could be a damnation, but in my metagame it's important to destroy all planeswalkers and destroy all tokens, so I use this Ether Snap. Could be a damnation, or also damnation came down in price, so now I think it's pretty safe to include it. Then we have some more utility creatures. Again, this is a pretty much mid-power level casual deck, so we don't really need to be extremely efficient in what we do. We have some mana generation. Also, this one is mana generation. We draw a lot of cards, so this can generate a lot of mana. This is a tax piece. Can copy non-creature spells if they don't pay 2, so it's pretty interesting and fun. Then we have sacrifice creature. All of these are coming into play effect. Grey Merchant of Asphodel. I think exotic choices, this for sure is one. Another politicking card. You tap, decide where to put 1 damage, and another player decides where to put the other damage. So it's one of my oldest cards as well, so I play it for flavor. And then we can go into the utility cards. So starting from this equipment, as I just showed to you, we play a lot of coming into play effects on creatures, and also we can sacrifice token for our advantage. So basically, this myriad mechanics creates a token of the equipped and attacking creature. So this can create 3 tokens per turn, and it's really powerful to, you know, it can snowball the game out of control pretty quickly. Then since we are a mono black deck, we can play a lot of utility lands, therefore Expedition Map has additional value. And then of course Cool Clamp, since we have a lot of small creatures drawing cards like crazy. This can be a finisher, we can generate a lot of mana, we will see how later. This is some graveyard hate. It's I think I have 1 land, 1 spell, 1 creature that can deal with the graveyard, maybe 2 spells or 2 creatures. It's important to have a couple of cards that can deal with opponent graveyards, so we use them. And then we have some discard spells. This one is for each player, so hits also you, but we draw a lot of cards, so this is okay. Smallpox is pretty a classic one. Everyone discards and sacrifice. We have a lot of cards, we have a lot of tokens, so this is not really symmetric for us. And I don't remember the English name of this one. It's from the Onslaught, and each other player discards a card, and you draw cards equal to the number of discarded cards. So you draw 3, and each other discards 1, so it's pretty powerful in Commander. Then we can go into some draw engines, classical black cards like tutors and draw engines. So Grid, pretty staple. This one is a weak version of Necropotence, because it's an enchantment for 3 black. Every time a creatures die, you lose 1 life and you draw a card, so drawing a lot of cards. Plum the Forbidden, this is an instant. Draw a card, lose 1 life. You sacrifice creature, and for each creature you sacrifice, you can copy the spell, so this draws a lot of cards. Classic Night Whisper, draw 2. And then we have 2 tutors. Again, we want to stay at the medium power level, so we have the Suspend 2. So this is a very strong tutor, but we can only play at the Suspend cost, so it's pretty slow. And this is Scheming Symmetry. So we search, but also another player search. So this is also a politicking card. And finally, we go into the mana. I usually like to play up to from 40 to 46 mana sources between lands, artifacts, and rituals. And this deck plays, I think, 12 non-land mana sources and 34 lands. So we have, since we are playing black, the beautiful things of playing black, we have a lot of rituals, so Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual. This is Calling the Weak, sacrifice a creature, add 4 mana, and then we have a bunch of artifacts for mana. Again, we cannot play the most powerful mana rocks, but these are Suspend 3, so it's very far from powerful. And then we have some, you know, some of the classic mana rocks. I think Springleaf Drum is strong because we have a lot of creatures, so we can use it regularly. I mean, the classic ones here. And finally, we go into the lands, so we have a bunch of swamps for sure. And then we have our utility lands, so one of my oldest cards as well, protecting me since forever, so it's always in. Then we have this one, which can be a removal. Field of the Dead, we have a lot of different names in the land department, so this creates a lot of tokens. This can be both a creature and a piece of hate for the graveyards, so strip mine, cycle land, reliquary tower because we draw a lot, one fetch land because why not. This is a mass removal, it's a blast zone. This is Thespian stage, so copying lands. Our commander is a Planeswalker, so we may as well gain 1 life. I mean, not very important for now. This is the swamp that can be fetched with the fetch. And when it comes into play, it puts a creature from the graveyard on top of the library, Castle Loco into draw, and then Cabal Coffers and Urborg to generate a lot of mana, and Boyuka Bog to destroy the graveyards. So thanks for watching. See you at the next deck tech. Bye!